What's going on? Alex here, and I'm going to show you the best way to boost testosterone levels naturally. It took me a while to learn this. I've been doing this for over 7 years. I've worked with thousands, probably over 1,000 individuals now, and I've helped over hundreds of thousands. I have nearly 250,000 followers on TikTok, and I get a lot of insight. I talk to a lot of people. I see what works and what doesn't really quick, because I can put something out there and I can see a reaction whether it works or not. In this video, I'm going to dive deep into the best way to boost testosterone levels naturally. Let's say you have a building. The most important part of the building is the foundations. I remember when I used to work in McDonald's, I used to always go on the dart on the train, and I used to always take the same way. It would take me about half an hour to an hour. I can't remember. And I remember for the 3 years, there was a building being built. And I remember for the first even 2.5 years, there wasn't much changes because they were just building the foundations. The building just looked the same. They were just doing something on the floor. And then once the foundations were set, next thing you know, in a few weeks, you just see the progress growing and growing, because the foundations are the most important. I see a lot of guys trying to boost their testosterone levels naturally. They want to get to that 1,000 nanograms per deciliter, but they never get there. They might get some results here and there, but they keep failing. It's like a pendulum swing. They never actually get the results. They're always chasing the shiny objects. But remember, be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. If you jump off a building, you will fall 100% of the time. God ain't gonna make an exception for you because of gravity, the law of gravity. Yet you keep disobeying God's laws and wonder why you're in your current state. You disobey the law of God, you don't see results. You jump off a building, that's like jumping off a building and wondering why you keep falling. You're just being ignorant. And here is what he has to say. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and it beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And everyone that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not, shall be likened unto a foolish man which built his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and it beat upon the house, and it fell, and the great was the fall of it. Your foundations are wrong. You need to have the right foundations, and then you can build upon it. So simply speaking, 1,000 nanograms per deciliter total testosterone naturally must be built on righteousness. Let's get into it deeper. So what is sin? Sin is an action or a type of behavior which is believed to break the laws of God. What men struggle with the most is categorized into the 7 deadly sins. I've been friends with a lot of guys, I'm not longer friends with them, but they would have high testosterone levels. You will look at them, but then when you actually get to know these individuals, they struggle with, they're lustful, they're very prideful, they envy, they have sloth, all these things. And I was shocked, and I was wondering, because at the time I didn't really I did believe in God, but not specifically the Christian God, right? The true God, the triune God. And I started studying it, really understanding the scriptures, and I came to the conclusion, and it made so much sense now. And I see it was like a missing puzzle. Because I already knew how to have high testosterone levels naturally, but then I was struggling with lust. I seen other guys struggling with these things. And then when I started studying the Bible, KJV version, it was like the missing piece. I remember there's a part in the Bible, I believe in Corinthians 1, it talks about don't fall for the genealogies of men which leave you with more questions. A lot of these things you hear out there, it's like, it sounds cool, whatever, but it leads you into a bigger path of questions. When you study the Bible everything is answered. You understand. You understand. The fear of God is the beginning of knowledge. So they struggle with lust. So the opposite is chastity. You see a lot of guys, sleeping around, being lustful, gluttony. And this could be alcohol, this could be drugs, this could be food, so on and so forth. Greed, sloth, wrath, envy, pride. They lack humility. This is a huge one. I've talked to a lot of guys and they lack humility a huge time. This is the biggest factor for me. If I'm friends with someone, they lack humility, I remove them from my life ASAP. These days, men are self-righteous these days. They trust in their own works. You see a lot of guys out there, they do the nofap. They count their calories. They're on the self-development journey. But why are they doing it? For self-righteousness. They're only doing it to gain something from it. They're doing it for themselves. They're doing it to accomplish something, to, have more pride or whatsoever. They're doing it for the wrong reasons. And this was the reason why I fell, because I was doing it for the wrong reason. I was doing it for myself. But when you start doing things for God, it changes. Because let's say you're being tempted to watch, XX movies, right? If you're doing it for yourself, you'll fall. But if you're doing it for God and He gives you the strength, how can you fail? How can you fail? You cannot. You cannot fail. It becomes easy because He is the light. He's one life. So you need to build your foundations on testosterone optimization. When it comes to my Reclaim Mastermind, right? I can show you some pieces in it. Even last week. So here's the community. What was it last week? We were on a call. It's usually for 2 hours. We went for 3 hours just talking about the foundations and how deep it is. Guys in there is just, they're on a different level. And where am I going with this? The classroom. So when it comes to the Reclaim Mastermind, I talk about it. One of the foundations is biblical manhood. I really go into how you need to structure it before I even go into testosterone optimization, because this is the most important, right? My camera's dirty. Super professional. So that being said, if you're on this journey, the biggest mistake I made was I was doing it for the wrong reasons. And one thing I learned, I remember when I wasn't with God, I wasn't saved. When I go on Instagram and I would see all these lustful things, I would see other guys with, they have the money, whatever. I was even thinking today, because I was scrolling through shorts on YouTube. These videos used to make me feel bad because I felt FOMO. I felt like I'm missing out. But right now I watch these things and I'm like, I understand because I have discernment. Discernment is understanding, is using scriptures and then looking at something with the righteous lens. And you see all these guys showing off the women, the money. They're very empty individuals. If someone has to tell you, there's a quote in the Bible, let no man talk about himself, but let his associates talk about him. I'm just paraphrasing it. I think it's in Proverbs. If anyone knows it, drop it down below. But you see all these guys, they talk about themselves because they're so empty inside. They need external validation. So it's crazy to see. And I feel sad because a lot of young lads fall for it because they lack discernment. So if you lack discernment, I highly recommend you study the King James Version Bible. And another thing, I have a second YouTube channel, if you're not aware, and it's called Biblical Manhood. The Biblical Manhood Ministry. And we go deep into everything. And this was the missing piece. Because these are the foundations which you should build upon everything. Because if you build your foundation on God, there's no way you can fall. Because it's built upon a rock. If you build your foundations on the world, which is the sand, it's always going to fall. That's why you keep failing. Okay? So I'm going to end it here. If you're an individual who's trying to accomplish, and you want to accomplish 1,000 nanograms per deciliter testosterone levels naturally, and you're wondering if it's possible, of course it's possible. You see guys over here accomplish 1,200, 1,350 from 288. There's testimonials. It's possible. So if that's you, click the link down below. I left a free training. It will say free training to accomplish 1,000 nanograms per deciliter, and check it out. And yeah, hope you enjoyed and got some value out of this video, and I'll see you later. Peace.